Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Sarah Nadia Camila, and I actually get a lot of questions about what is the disadvantage of web novel, what is the advantage of web novel. So that questions, I'm going to answer it now, and stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this. Thank you. So, so this is what we are going to talk about today. First, I will tell you what is web novel, and then I will tell you what the advantage of web novel, and then the last thing, I will tell you what is the disadvantage of web novel. Okay, now what is web novel? Now, web novel is different from our usual type of novel, which is novel that we have the physical book of and the one that we can buy at the bookstore. Now, web novel is actually the type of novel, but it is on the internet. It is on the web. It is on site in internet. Now, there are some people that will upload the novel that they create on on the internet, and this kinds of novel, this web novel, is not actually going to be full a whole book, but it's going to be in chapters. It is going to be uploaded in chapters. So from the beginning until the end, we as the reader can uh, journey together to find out like what is happening, what is the development of this story, of this plot in this novel, uh, web novel, in this novel in the internet called web novel. So now the topics that I'm going to tell you all is about the advantage and the disadvantage of the chapters of web novels, the price of that said web novel, and the publication of that web novel. So certain topics, all of these topics have their own advantage and their own disadvantage, and I will tell you like uh, the first advantage and then the last is the disadvantage of this. Okay. Okay, so now we talk about the advantages of the chapters of this web novel. So the advantages for us, the readers, and for the writer or the author is actually when the author releases these chapters, releases this web novel. I mean, it doesn't have like a full-on book with chapter 1 until the end, but he or she will upload it in chapters according to his or her time in writing. So we in real time, as the readers, will know the development of the story, and in daily basis we can uh, read it together, like journey it out together to actually feel out the novel of the said web novel. And of course, this the advantages of this is it can actually make us as the reader to feel like uncomfortable because we need more chapters, and it will attract our attention because hey, this is something that can happen next week or the next day, and we will together know uh, the certain development of the plot in the next chapter, maybe tomorrow. There's some kind of anticipation that will happen. For the price, it's actually pretty much because it's on the web, it's on the internet. It is most of the time, like, free. There may be some that will do some like needed in money, some thing that will actually uh, extort money from you, but it will still be a lot cheaper, a lot cheaper than you buy some book, some novel in a bookstore. That will be a lot more expensive than this. The advantage of the publication is sometimes when the web novel, not sometimes, but most of the times, or you can always say it like always, when a web novel become a hit, like it's so popular, some publication company like Gramedia or something like that will reach out to the author to actually like uh, you know if do you want to publish your novel, your web novel, so they will be the first one to actually you know show their hands on you. So as the web novel writer or author that actually popular, it will be easier for you to publish your novel to be your web novel to be your novel, like to be a real novel in the bookstore bought by many people. That is the advantage of the publication of the web novel. Now we will talk about the disadvantage of the web novel. Of course, even if there are many advantages of these three topics that we already talk about now, there is still many disadvantage of these three topics too that can happen in the web novel. So the disadvantage of the chapters for us the reader is actually because the chapters are uploaded in one chapter per day or one chapter per week. It's so sporadic, so maybe we will be left like unsatisfied with what we have right now, and we need time to actually get more of the said chapters until maybe the end of the novel, the web novel itself. So the disadvantage of the chapters is it's uploaded sporadic. Because of that, we don't have any schedule to follow where and when, not where, but when the chapters are going to be out, and because of that, there will be no, like, there will be no feelings that we will always have, uh, the satisfying feelings that we will always have when we read the chapters, because at certain points we will be happy of these chapters, but at other circumstances we will be like, why, what is happening, and we need more, and there's no more chapters out, and we need to wait for the chapters to come out. Okay, so I told you before about how some web novel or many web novel will have their novel or web novel free, and some will have some money that we need to, you know, paid for. But even though it's like that, it's not going to be, you know, as expensive as the novel that we buy at the bookstore. But there's a catch in this. So because sometimes the author of that said web novel like uh, upload a chapter and we need to pay for that chapter, every single time it will be different. So there's not it's not going to be like this one chapter is 5,000 rupiah and the next chapter of that web novel is going to be 5,000 rupiah. It's not going to be like that. There will be up and down, and there will be like increase and decrease in the money that we need to get out of from our hands to buy that chapters. Now there are some kind of like Kindle, like Kindle chapters, so it's a bunch of chapters, maybe 5 to 10 chapters that we can buy at the same time in a bundle, and that certain price will be also different from uh, from this bundle to another bundle. Maybe chapter 1 until 10, it will be like 20,000 rupiah or something like that, or maybe less than that. And the next like bundle from maybe 11 until 20 will be different too. So it doesn't have any consistency in the pricing, and because of that, this is the disadvantage of the price of the said web novel. Okay, the last thing that I will tell you about the disadvantage of the web novel is the publication. Now, I said to you earlier that if you are the author of a very popular web novel, you can easily get your web novel to be a real novel and sold at the bookstore. But it's not an easy task. It's not an easy task to publish a popular web novel or make a web novel popular. There's always many things that you need to consider about, and sometimes it's just not, maybe your story is not just it's just not going to work as the popular kinds of web novel. So that's why a publication company will not really often goes to like a regular web novel author that doesn't have any fame. Maybe they have a certain viewer to see their web novel, but not as popular as you can imagine. They are not going to be um, reaching their hands to you. So that is the disadvantage of this kind of publication in this kind of industry that named web novel industry. So for you to actually want to publish your web novel as a novel, there's a lot of things that you need to consider about. And of course, uh, even after you can get your publisher, you need to like rearrange more of the plot. You will edit more chapters out of your web novel to be more satisfying to the publisher. So this is the disadvantage of these kinds of publication.